process?
I think we did well. We had quite a lot of set and preparation for the show done quite quickly, and ideas for the set, like dust sheets, lots of organisational things quite quickly, and ideas of how to do these things quite quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like...
Well, I think as a group, yeah, you did. I think we need to talk individually about what you think you did sort of personally for the piece.
Individually, I mean, I didn't feel like I was too involved, like as involved as I could have been in the preparation. I mean, I called a school. I think I called 2 Mile Hill to see and try and book a venue, but they didn't get back to me. And I think like that's something I could have pushed. You know, if I kept calling back or like sending an email or something, just like progressing it, making sure it was moving somewhere, we could have like had a different venue as well. So I felt like I was sort of held back in the the preparation sort of part of it was where I don't know, I was sort of held back and like could have gone further. Really, that's what I think about me.
What did you do?
Well, I booked the venue. Well, called to try and book a venue, but like I was saying, they didn't get back to me. So I feel like I could have pushed forward. I also like we came up with the costume idea, like the whole group, for my costume, and again, like I feel. I did bits to it by myself, like adding newspaper, sort of refreshing it and stuff when bits fell off. But I felt like I could have gone further there, really taken it myself and like just I don't know, made it my priority, my own thing's my priority instead of just leaving it, you know. And like I reckon I could have done more towards it. And oh yeah, but I did. One thing I did do was drive the set and like props and everything to the venue. So that's how I contributed, I guess, like making sure my car had enough space, was cleared out for this like to fit everything in. Like I guess that's how I contributed as well, making sure like we had a way of getting there and back with all our costume and props and actors.
Okay. Anyone else?
Talking about me or talking about James?
Talking about you.
I was the one who eventually organised the venue that we ended up performing at. I rang them up at first and they told me to email them, so I did, and they didn't get back, so I emailed again, and then they did get back to me, and then at first they came back asking for us to perform to 120 kids, which we thought was too big of an audience. Like we didn't feel like they'd benefit the most from that, and also bearing in mind things like the workshop, like taking them into small groups wasn't going to be small groups, it was going to be groups of like 30 children each, which is a lot of people to try and manage. So I had to go back to the school and then negotiate how we could make it work. So we ended up doing 2 performances back to back with 2 smaller sizes. The venue was Airbloom, which I knew wasn't too far away. So me and James drove like the set and the actors there. With Cal, quite early on in the process, we sort of storyboarded the whole piece. I think Jordan started off the opening sort of section, then me and Cal finished it off. And then that was kind of, we had something to go by for the whole process then. We could sort of go back to it and sort of go, oh yeah, that's what we had in the story, and then we developed that and sort of made it into a final piece. I sorted out and made sure that we had the PA system for the sound effects and found the sound effects to go along with like Mike's song that he wrote and things like that. Generally kind of working on set with everyone. Like I brought in my hot glue gun and just came in like before the lessons and things like that to make sure that we could do a bit more. I
have lost my internet connection.
I made a time plan early on in the piece, which kind of kept adjusting, but I realised that I didn't actually show anyone that, but I didn't kind of know what was going on and push that we all moved on with different things and made sure that we had things done. And the workshop, I think I could have probably helped a bit more because I was away in the lesson when we decided we were making the bird feeders, so I wasn't actually aware of that until like a couple of days before the piece. But I made sure that we were sort of getting learning out of the children by making sure that in the workshop we spoke about reducing, reusing and recycling. generally, as some like even better, I think I could have started working earlier on my costume, because I chose that I was going to wear the wig, but I didn't really think about costume past that point, and like the set and things like that. I feel like we could have tried to do that earlier on and got it done, because we didn't actually have any rehearsal time with the set and the costumes in full. We didn't get like a proper dress run in, so generally we could have just sort of done a lot of stuff earlier.
I feel that in the process of production, to start with, I did ring up one of the schools which didn't get back to me. So then from there, I left it to someone else because I felt that they had better connections, and I decided to focus on set and the idea of like dust sheets. I had the idea of like a dust sheets with sticking rubbish to them. So at Hame I made like one and then started like collecting the rubbish, and then when we came in before schools, before lesson, and like was carrying on with that one. And then my costume, well, I left it a bit late, so I should have probably done it earlier, but I think the concept of the tin foil with the masking tape behind it was a good concept, so it wouldn't necessarily break, and it had all the, having the word support, thanks, support behind it, so that it wouldn't necessarily fall apart on stage, which would not have been great. Also looked into like the facts to tell the children. Like in some of it we needed like some facts to put into the piece, so I was looking up that before the show to make sure that we were telling the kids the right information.
And we went up to Kingswood to make sure that we had the supplies for the bird feeders.
Yeah, because whilst
and tinfoil, so that we could tinfoil some stuff.
Yeah, whilst researching the show, I found out like different ways of. Obviously, we all did a model of something we could do for the workshop, and then I found a really creative idea of a bird feeder, which obviously they've got outside playgrounds, and it'd be easy and fun for them to make. So I made a prototype of them, and it just found out that we all collaboratively made that. So to collect the bottles, because we needed like 60 bottles, we put a box over in page 16 in the eye for the people to put their bottles in, and it worked really well actually. So we managed to collect enough bottles to do one each during the workshop, and then we ended up we had enough to like give some to the school for the school to make them with the kids. Cool. And then we provided bird feed as well.
Okay.
I worked on the health and safety thing, so the show could actually go on tour to different places. I also worked with George, as he said, about giving an end to the show, and made the production of adding in villains, which would link to the kids actually understanding and giving the kids a way to sort of have an enemy, if you know what I mean. So the show could actually go somewhere instead of being stilted and just on stage talking about recycling, and get it in a more imaginative way to the kids. I can't think of anything right now.
Okay, no worries.
The costume was good. How you stuck the rubbish to represent the
Yeah, I could have done costume a lot better, I think. While it was sort of a collaboration of everything from every other costume, like pieces of like newspaper and plastics and stuff, it could have been a lot better, I think, because if I sort of focused on like one area, like one arm was just cardboard, one was plastic, and sort of add more imagination to it, so it could and sort of show different recycling areas on my body to sort of get it into their heads, and just instead of just one big rubbish pile.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I worked very hard on my costume, I think. It sort of all came about when I was mucking about and was really bored at work, and I found a plastic bag and decided to make a beard out of it, and that's where I got the idea for my costume. And I feel like I really did work hard on it. I had to gather up a lot of plastic bags in order to make it, so I feel like it was something I worked really hard on. Also, like with the dust sheets as well, which of course Jordan produced most of them. However, on like the last bit, I decided I would make one just so we had another one. However, I do feel it was a bit half measured, as in, well, in relation to quality. Like Jordan's were all really, there was barely any like dust sheet showing on them. It was sort of all rubbish, and mine wasn't that great, but it was just sort of so we had something. And I feel like one of the things that I could have really improved on was I did do a lot of just, oh well, at least we've got something. As in, for example, I also tried to secure a venue. I called them up and I gave them an email address to contact. However, I didn't follow it up. I just sort of left it at, if they're interested, they will email me, but I should have taken the initiative to further ensure it. And I also feel like I could have just contributed a bit more props-wise, like I could have brought in more rubbish, because I didn't take any initiative. I just took what I had around the house, but I didn't take the initiative of maybe like asking neighbours if they don't mind lending me stuff or going to other places. One main thing which I do think I contributed, which was really good, was I did a lot of research and created the songs which we used, which were, well, according to the teacher who gave us feedback, one of the highlights of it was the Let It Go parody, which I wrote. I also wrote some raps, and even though they didn't get used, I was still contributing something to it, which was nice.
Okay. Does anyone else want to add anything in?
What were we last at that?
Does anyone else want to add anything in about how the show went?
I just think we all worked together, and it was a highlight. Like just getting feedback from the teachers that the kids learnt something, and I just think for our overall aim for going into a TIE piece and the kids needing
it is
us,
a sense of like accomplishment in it, where it's like
with going in trying to teach them something and then getting feedback that they have learnt what we went in.
yeah.
You'd almost think that should be the grading criteria, wouldn't you?
It was definitely one of the grandest productions that we did as well,
I'm
because
proud.
like with the big, it was the most costume and the most set I think we've ever had to do, other than Oh What a Lovely War, but that was a big academy
And
production,
like,
so I'm quite proud of us being able to
I'm
pull
proud.
Yeah,
that
because we would
together.
normally have the support, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
Like,
we didn't have
it's one
support
of
of the director, we directed ourselves.
It was one of the nicest like aesthetic pieces we've done, I think.
It was nice to have the freedom of doing what we wanted, not being shoved in the right direction.
I also think it could have been improved massively if we sort of planned more time, like an extra week or something, just to finalise everything.
Yeah, but we did well.